You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Thursday, June the 18th, 2020. An American League game was played between the Rays and the Blue Jays. 11-9 was the final score. This game took 14 innings. The Blue Jays tied the game in the 8th inning by scoring 3 runs. That's what subsequently caused the extra innings. The Rays put up 5 in the 14th inning, and they needed most of those 5 runs because the Blue Jays had a 3-run bottom of the 14th inning, but that wasn't enough to make a comeback. They couldn't tie the game, and they lost by 2. Jalen Beeks got the win, Jordan Romano got the loss, and Nick Anderson earned his 21st save of the season. The Orioles and Indians played each other. 4-2 is the final score. The Indians came out on top. The Orioles took a 2-run lead after the top of the second inning, but in the bottom of the second, the Indians put up their first run and then had a 3-run third inning. No team scored after that, and the Indians won by 2. Shane Bieber got the win, Wade LeBlanc got the loss, and Brad Hand earned his 27th save of the year. AL Central baseball between the White Sox and the Tigers, 4-2 the final score. The White Sox took the lead in the second, the Tigers tied it in the third. Then the White Sox put up a run in the 8th and a run in the 9th, which were the winning runs in the game. Dallas Keuchel got the win, Brian Garcia got the loss, and Alex Colome earned his 21st save of the year. The Royals and Mariners played each other, 7-4 the final score. The Royals came out on top, and there were several 2 spots put up in this game. The Mariners had a 2-run second inning. The Royals put up 2 in the 3rd, the 6th, and the 9th innings. The Mariners put up their final run in the 4th inning, and they lost by 3. Danny Duffy got the win, Marco Gonzalez got the loss, his 10th of the year, and Ian Kennedy earned his 13th save. The Rangers and Angels played each other in an AL West matchup. 2-1 was the final score. It was quite a pitcher's duel between Dylan Bundy and Corey Kluber, who each pitched equally well. But Bundy just slightly better, giving up just 1 earned run in that first inning. Corey Kluber gave up 2 in the 5th inning, and neither team scored after that point. And those 2 runs the Angels put up held up. Dylan Bundy got the win, his 7th of the season. Corey Kluber got the loss, his 8th of the year, and Hansel Robles earned his 21st save. The Yankees and Twins played each other, and the Yankees shut out the Twins. 8-0 was the final score. The Yankees put up 2 runs early, then had a 4-run 7th inning, which was quite enough for them to win the game, especially since the Twins didn't score at all. Jordan Montgomery got the win, and Jose Barrios got the loss. The Giants and Nationals played each other, and the Nats shut out the Giants. 6-0 was the final score. The Nationals got their first run in the 4th inning, put up a run in the 6th, and then had back-to-back 2-run innings. 2 in the 7th inning, and they also put up 2 in the 8th. Anibal Sanchez got the win, and Derek Rodriguez got the loss. NL East baseball between the Marlins and the Phillies was played, and the Marlins shut out the Phillies. 12-0 was the final score, so not only did the Phillies not score at all, but the Marlins scored enough runs for the both of them. The Marlins put up a couple 1 spots in the 2nd and the 3rd innings, but then had a 5-run 4th inning, and they finished their offensive palooza with a 4-run 8th inning, won by 12. Jose Urena got the win, and Jake Arrieta got the loss. The Mets and Cubs played each other, and the Mets won by a score of 8-4. Paul Sewald got the win, and Kyle Ryan got the loss. The Reds and Padres played in a game where the Reds came out on top by 6 runs. 8-2 is the final score. Anthony DeSclafani got the win, and Chris Paddock got the loss. The Reds came out scoring early. They put up 3 in the 2nd inning. Each team put up 2 runs in the 3rd, but then the Reds had a 3-run 8th inning, and that put the Padres out of reach. The Diamondbacks and the Dodgers played each other in a close game. The Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers again, 2-1 the final score of this game. The Dodgers didn't score till the 9th inning. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks had their 2nd run by the 6th inning, and they were able to win. The Diamondbacks also out-hit the Dodgers 11-4. Merrill Kelly got the win, Clayton Kershaw got the loss, and Yohan Lopez got his first save of the year. The Cardinals and the Rockies played each other. 7-1 was the final score. The Cardinals came out on top. The Cardinals got 7 runs on 8 hits. The Rockies got 1 run on 4 hits. Adam Wainwright got the win, and Antonio Senzatella got the loss. Taking a look at standings now, starting in the American League East. The New York Yankees are 45-30 after beating the Twins today. They've won 3 in a row. They've also won 7 of their last 10. They're still in first place. The Blue Jays fall a game further back of the Yankees. They're now 3 games back after losing today. They're 42-33. They've still won 7 of their last 10 games, though. The Rays are in 3rd place. They're 36-40. They're 9.5 games back. The Red Sox are 35-40. They're 10 games back. They're in the middle of a 2-game losing streak. And the Orioles are 33-42. They're 12 games back. They've also lost 2 in a row, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. In the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins are 53-23. They still have the best record in baseball, though they've lost 2 in a row, and they're still at the top of this division. The White Sox are 46-29, 6.5 games back. They've won 3 games in a row. The Indians are 42-34. They've won 2 in a row. They're 11 games back of the Twins. The Tigers are 29-45. They're 23 games back, and they've lost 4 games in a row. And the Royals are 25-51. They're 28 games back of the Twins for first place. In the American League West, the Oakland Athletics are 48-27. They're still at the top. They've won 2 games in a row. The Astros have lost 2 in a row. They're 41-32. They're 6 games back of the A's. The Angels won today. They're 35-39, 12.5 games back. The Rangers lost to the Angels today. They're 30-46, 18.5 games back. And the Mariners are still in last place. They're 26-50, 22.5 games back of the A's for first place. The wildcard standings in the AL look like this. The White Sox have the top spot with a 46-29 record. Then the Blue Jays and the Astros are tied for the second wildcard spot. They have different records, but they're the same amount of games back. The Indians are a half game back. They're 42-34, and they're the only team in contention for one of those 2 spots because every other team in the American League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 6.5 games back. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals still lead. They're 44-30. They've won 4 games in a row. The Marlins still in second. They're 43-31. They're a game back. They've won 2 games in a row and 8 of their last 10. The Braves have won 2 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're 39-35, and they're 5 games back. The Phillies are 34-39, 9.5 games back. They've lost 2 in a row. And the Mets are 32-42. They're 12 games back, and they've won 2 in a row. In the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals are still at the top. They're still the only team in this division with a winning percentage over 500. 42-32 is their record. They've won 6 in a row and 9 of their last 10. The Cubs are in second place. They're 35-40. They're 7.5 games back. They've lost 2 games in a row. The Brewers are gaining some ground. They're 34-39, 7.5 games back in third place. The Reds are 32-43, 10.5 games back. And the Pirates are still in last place and still haven't reached 30 wins yet. They're 29-44 and 12.5 games back of the Cardinals. In the National League West, the Dodgers have lost 4 games in a row. They're 50-25. They're still at the top of the division, though, and they still have a healthy lead. But the Diamondbacks have gotten hot, and they're gaining ground on the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks have won 6 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're 8 games back of the Dodgers with a 42-33 record. The Padres have been quite cold since coming into June. They're 41-35. They're 9.5 games back. They're now in third place. The Rockies are in fourth with a 30-44 record, 19.5 games back. They've also lost 4 games in a row. And the Giants are 27-47. They're 22.5 games back. They've lost 5 games in a row and 9 of their last 10. And the wildcard standings look like this in the NL. The Marlins have the top spot with a 43-31 record. The Diamondbacks have the second wildcard spot with a 42-33 record. The Padres are a game and a half back with a 41-35 record. And the only other team in contention to this point is the Braves. They're 2.5 games back with a 39-35 record. Every other team in the National League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 7 games back of that second wildcard spot. And taking a look at league leaders, starting with batting average leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera is at the top still with a 372 average. Carlos Santana second best with a 349. Michael Brantley and Miguel Andujar are close to 343. Brantley third best and Andujar fourth best. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt's at a 374 average. David Dahl second best with a 348. And Jonathan Villar third best with a 343. Hits leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera and Miguel Andujar tied for the top spot with 106 hits. DJ LeMahieu is third best with 103. In the National League, Jonathan Villar's up to 108. Paul Goldschmidt second best with 101, and Ronald Acuna Jr. rounds out the top 3 with 94. At bat leaders in the American League, DJ LeMahieu's at the top with 312. In the National League, Jonathan Villar's at the top with 315, and he's the only NL player with over 300 at-bats on the season so far. Doubles leaders in the American League, Anthony Rendon leads with 27. Giancarlo Stanton and Jose Abreu are tied for second best with 24. In the National League, Jonathan Villar's at 34. Christian Yelich trails him by 8 with 26. And Ketel Marte is third best with 24. Triples leaders in the American League, Jose Altuve has 6 triples. Adalberto Mondesi second best with 5. And there's a 5-way tie for third best. Whit Merrifield, Derek Fisher, Steven Piscotty, Eddie Rosario, and Max Kepler all have 4 triples. They're all tied for third best. In the National League, Jonathan Villar's at 9 triples. He leads. Victor Robles second best with 6. Chris Bryant and Hunter Pence are third best. They each have 5. Home run leaders in the American League: Justin Upton, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and J.D. Martinez are all at the top with 25. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at 29, Paul Goldschmidt has 26, and Christian Yelich is third best with 19. RBI leaders in the American League: Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has 72, Chris Davis second best with 64, and Jorge Soler rounds out the top three with 63. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt's at 71, and he has a large lead. Christian Yelich is the next best with 58, and Cody Bellinger has 57 RBIs, good for third best on the National League leaderboard. Runs scored leaders in the American League: Yohan Moncada is at the top with 59. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at the top with 64. Stolen base leaders in the American League: Adalberto Mondesi tops the list with 16. Whit Merrifield, Malik Smith, and D. Gordon are all tied for second best with 14. In the National League, Starling Marte is at 28. Two behind him is Trey Turner with 26. And Jonathan Villar rounds out the top three with 19. Walks leaders in the American League: Shin-Soo Choo and Alex Bregman are at the top of the AL list with 49. In the National League, Mookie Betts is at the top with 51. On-base percentage leaders in the American League: Miguel Cabrera has a .441 on-base percentage. That's the lead. Alex Bregman is second best with a .432, and Carlos Santana third best with a .426. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has a .471, Christian Yelich second best with a .428, and Dansby Swanson is third best with a .425. Slugging percentage leaders in the American League: Josh Donaldson leads this list with a .665 slugging percentage. Yohan Moncada second best with a .640, and J.D. Martinez slightly less than Moncada's, but also has a .640 slugging percentage, good for third best on this leaderboard. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt is at a .748, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at a .738, and Christian Yelich rounds out the top three with a .680. On-base percentage plus slugging percentage leaders in the American League: Josh Donaldson is the AL leader with a 1.078. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt is the leader with a 1.219. Moving on to pitcher statistics, starting with wins leaders in the American League: Kenta Maeda is at the top with 9 wins. Hyunjin Ryu and Jake Odorizzi are tied for second with 8. In the National League, Walker Buehler has 11. Jimmy Nelson and Madison Bumgarner are tied for second best with 8. Losses leaders in the American League: there are 2 pitchers still undefeated, Kenta Maeda and Chris Bassett. Each have no losses on the mound this year. In the National League, Walker Buehler and Carlos Martinez have lost the least amount of games on the mound, with just 1 on the year. Saves leaders in the American League: Liam Hendriks is at the top with 28, Brad Hand second best with 27, and Roberto Ozuna third best with 23. In the National League, Giovanni Gallegos is at the top with 27, Kenley Jansen second best with 26, and Will Smith is third best with 25. ERA leaders in the American League: Kenta Maeda and Mike Minor have the exact same earned run average, and they're at the top of this list. Jordan Zimmerman rounds out the top 3 with a .261. In the National League, Marcus Stroman leads with a .194, Walker Buehler second best with a .198, and Carlos Martinez third best with a .234. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers: Mike Minor and Gio Gonzalez have allowed the least amount of home runs with 6. In the National League, Marcus Stroman and Garrett Richards have allowed the least amount with 4. Shutout leaders in the American League: Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka are tied at the top with 3 shutouts. Jake Odorizzi is third best with 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has 3, and there's a 4-way tie for second best. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Merrill Kelly, and Walker Buehler have each thrown 2 complete game shutouts this season so far. Strikeout leaders in the American League: Garrett Cole has 127, Lucas Giolito's at 112, and Carlos Carrasco rounds out the top 3 with 110. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw has 131, Steven Strasburg second best with 121, and Max Scherzer is third best with 112. Complete games thrown among American League pitchers: Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka are at the top with 3 complete games. Aaron Savali and Jake Odorizzi tied for third best with 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom, Aaron Nola, and Zach Wheeler have all thrown 3 complete games this season, and they're all at the top of the National League leaderboard. Innings pitched leaders in the American League: Shane Bieber's at 103 2/3 innings recorded. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw has 111 innings recorded this season. Walks allowed among American League pitchers: Carlos Carrasco has allowed the least amount with 12. In the National League, Brett Anderson and Marcus Stroman have each walked the least amount with 19. They're tied for the top spot on this leaderboard. Whip leaders in the American League: Masahiro Tanaka's at a 1.04 whip, Jake Odorizzi second best with a 105, and Kenta Maeda third best with a 107. In the National League, Aaron Nola's at a 1 even, Marcus Stroman second best with a 101, and Mike Soroka rounds out the top 3 with a 102. Pitching war leaders in the American League: Shane Bieber's at the top with a 2.7, Jake Odorizzi is a 2.4, Corey Kluber, Garrett Cole, Carlos Carrasco, and Masahiro Tanaka each have a 2.3, and that's the top 6 on this leaderboard. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw's at the top with a 2.8, Steven Strasburg second best with a 2.5. Jacob deGrom's at a 2.4, as is Robbie Ray. That's the top 4 on this list. Batting war leaders in the American League, Marcus Semion's at a 4.9. Yohan Moncada's at a 4.5, as is DJ LeMahieu, and they make up the top 3 on this list. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at a 5.8. Christian Yelich and Paul Goldschmidt are each at a 5.1, and they make up the top 3 on the NL leaderboard. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Thursday, June the 18th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.